I'm not going to ask this on the pressure because I know you can handle this, but the thing that I always feel for is stuff with your family. How do you kind of help your family navigate through that? Because that's where it hits home with me growing up, where being a Ripken, I felt like I had to kind of be on edge. And my parents always told me they wanted to try to protect me. Does that make sense to you now being at this stage?
Yeah. So the first thing I would say is, you have to understand the consequences. And like nobody ever held a gun to my head and said, you have to be the general manager of the Baltimore Ravens. Like that's my life goal, my life dream. I was so happy to take that job on, understanding that this is a tough age to be a manager, a coach, a general manager, anybody in the public with social media and all these different things associated. It's not always fair. I think I tell my children, got 3 kids and my wife as well, all active in different ways on social media, to not always, partake, to stay off, to not get caught up in it, to not listen to what people say, to not debate, to not ever post anything that's controversial or inflammatory, because it's just bad consequences when that happens. There have been some times when my children have been hurt. I've seen it firsthand. It's not always fair, but it's a part of our life, and we spend a lot of time talking about it. We try to stay strong as a family. We try to spend as much time together as we can. When things do happen, controversial things with the club, we talk about it beforehand. I try to give them the heads up. We try to plan on what that response might be. The whole Lamar Jackson negotiation, that was 2 very, very challenging years. I mean, in a lot of ways, the biggest challenge I've ever faced professionally was those 2 years, for a lot of different ways. Very polarizing negotiation, and for me, difficult because of my affinity for Lamar and how I felt about him as a person. But yet I have a responsibility as well to the club and to the Ravens and to Steve Bisciotti to do the best deal, to negotiate the best deal that I can for the club. Very hard to do that with a player that you care about, that you respect so much. But even in this community, many, many different opinions, pro and against, and just the approach and the lack of information, which was by design, not necessarily talking about the negotiation, because Lamar wanted it quiet and I wanted it quiet. People have a hard time understanding that, and they feel like they have the right to know. So it was a tough time. It was tough on my family, very tough on my children, tough on my wife, tough on me, tough on my friends, tough on my coworkers. But we got through it. And what I always say is, like, you're never as smart as people say, and you're never as dumb as people say. Usually the truth is somewhere in between. I never get too high. I never get too low. You do get frustrated at times. Again, I'm not on social media, which is probably a really, really good thing. But when things are going really well, I'm also not the type of guy that's going to be like super high, cocky, prideful, and all these kind of things, because I know it can change very quickly.
Yeah, but also you're confident in what you know and who you know and how you go about your business. That's the thing I love. And I think that people outside of the industries of sports, you love your team, fans love their teams, but there's a business side of it that's a whole different element. And I'm glad you just mentioned all that, because I told people this too. I love that you mentioned it. You love the players like Lamar. A lot of people love Lamar, and you have that personal connection, and business is business. I've seen it with guys in the baseball world. You don't want things to get personal. We're in a day and age now that if you think everything's going to stay private, someone's going to find a way to try to twist the narrative and make it seem like, because in my mind, when I'm saying, the Ravens don't want him, that's also erroneous. I'm a big Wedding Crashers guy. I'm a big movie quote guy. Erroneous, right? Of course they want him. Of course you love him. You care about him. And by the way, I mean, it seems like, I know, Enamored, you probably have so many Lamar things behind the scenes that people don't know. You care about the guy on a genuine level, which I don't think a lot of people might fully understand in the position that you're in. You genuinely care.